So we start with the major breaking news of the day. Here in the UK, Heathrow Airport has announced it will be closed until midnight local time tonight. This after experiencing a major power outage as a result of a fire at a nearby electrical substation. Passengers are being advised not to travel to the airport and to contact their airlines for information. Thousands of homes in the area around Heathrow have been left without power, and around 150 people had to be evacuated as fire crews battle the blaze in Hayes in West London. Residents have been urged to keep their windows closed. Today's total closure of London Heathrow Airport will affect more than 1,300 flights globally. This according to data from Flight Radar 24. At the time of the announced closure, there were 120 aircraft in the air that had to divert to alternative airports or to return to their origins. Well, our business reporter Nick Marsh joins me now. Nick, bring us up to date on the latest developments.
Well, that fire, which broke out late on Thursday night in Hayes, a West London suburb, is still being battled by local firefighters. Like you said, around 150 people had to be evacuated, thousands left without power. Clearly, Heathrow Airport is so reliant on the power substation that this fire affected that it's going to have to close for the entire day. Now, we know that airports sometimes have to close for hours at a time, sometimes half a day, but closing for an entire day is really very, very rare. And it's not just any airport we're talking about. This is Heathrow Airport, Europe's busiest. Some estimates put it as the second busiest in the entire world, just behind Dubai. 83 million passengers passed through Heathrow Airport last year. 230,000 passengers go through Heathrow Airport every single day. And like you said, those 1,300 flights that take off and land every single day as well. So to close any airport for an entire day is disruptive, but to close an airport like Heathrow for the entire day is hugely disruptive.
Indeed, and we are hearing about some of those flights that were in the air at the time that the closure was announced. They either returned to their home airports, their origin airports, or diverted to other airports in the vicinity. London Gatwick and Manchester accepting some of the flights, but airports as far away as Paris, Frankfurt and Shannon in the west of Ireland have also been accepting flights that had been bound for Heathrow. And the knock-on effect with aircraft outside or far away from the positions that they were expected to be in, air crews also perhaps stuck far away from their bases, far away from their homes, the impact is likely to be felt for many days ahead. Isn't that right, Nick?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So airlines at the moment are doing pretty much what they can. We've reached out to several airlines here in Asia and Asia Pacific, also US airlines. They're trying to find a hodgepodge kind of mix of solutions. Some planes being diverted to Paris Charles de Gaulle, some to Gatwick. We've just had a statement actually from Gatwick that said 7 flights have been diverted there. Flights from Singapore, Lagos, places like Cape Town, Doha. We also know several US airlines have had to turn their planes back. Some have a flight from San Francisco stopped in Washington. That was bound for Heathrow. Some stopping in Ireland, like you say. But the fact is that not only is this going to cause huge inconvenience for the passengers who are on board those flights, landing in a place that isn't Heathrow, sometimes not even the UK, it's going to cause huge amounts of problems for future passengers, because if a plane is in Paris when it's supposed to be in Heathrow to pick up the next set of passengers that evening or that next day, well, it can't do that. So these passengers are also going to have their flights delayed at the very least and probably cancelled. Crew as well, they have a certain amount of hours that they can work as well. So I don't know how these disruptions are going to bleed into that, but it's certainly not going to be over at midnight London time tonight. These problems are going to go on well into the weekend and possibly into next week as well.
Indeed, the days ahead of us will be interesting. Just stay with us, Nick. I'll bring our viewers some updates that we've had from certain airlines. British Airways, the biggest airline operating from Heathrow Airport, reminding customers that anyone who was due to travel from the airport today, that they should not travel to the airport until further notice. And they're hoping that any flights that had been bound for Heathrow, any of their flights, will be able to land at other airports here in the UK, Gatwick and Manchester, accepting some of those flights to minimise the inconvenience to passengers. We've had a statement from Air India saying that its operations to and from Heathrow have been disrupted following the temporary suspension of operations at the airport. Flights from Mumbai, a flight bound to Heathrow from Mumbai turned back to Mumbai. A flight from Delhi has been diverted to Frankfurt Airport. Flights to London Gatwick, they're stressing, remain unaffected. And as you were reporting there, Nick, London Gatwick saying that they are ready to do all they can to help out with this situation. And one can only begin to estimate the extraordinary cost that airlines are going to be facing to help look after their passengers and get their operations back on track.
Flights that we know for sure have been cancelled. Then you've got the flights that are in the air that are having to be diverted. So then you ask yourself, well, who is going to provide accommodation for these passengers that have been affected? Who's going to provide food? And ultimately, who's going to pay for the compensation? Because passengers are entitled to compensation when they face such severe travel disruption like we're seeing today. The airlines will argue that it's not their fault because this is, after all, a fire at a substation near Heathrow Airport. Heathrow Airport, well, there'll be questions asked of it, given the fact that it's clearly so reliant on this specific power substation that all operations have to be closed for an entire day. So who exactly is going to pay is an interesting question. We do know, though, of course, that the cost is going to be significant for the passengers, for the airlines, and for Heathrow Airport ultimately as well, and for the airports as well that are having to pick up the slack.
Indeed. Nick Marsh, thank you very much for that update. And let's update our viewers on the breaking news, the closure of Heathrow Airport. It will remain closed until at least midnight tonight. This because of a fire at a nearby electricity substation that's been burning, I'd say, for about 6 hours now. It's knocked out power supplies to thousands of homes in and around Heathrow Airport and the airport itself. Around 1,350 flights that were due to either take off or land at Heathrow today have either been cancelled or diverted, and that'll impact around 230,000 passengers. That's generally how many passengers pass through Heathrow on an average day, although it has to be stressed, Friday, as it is today, is generally the busiest day of the week for air travel, as people either come back from their working weeks elsewhere or head off for weekend destinations. That's a picture that you're looking now, a visualization of air travel, air transport over Europe. The skies above Heathrow unusually quiet at this time of day because, of course, it is closed. Well, let's speak now to a BBC reporter, Thomas McIntosh, who's currently in Athens. He'd been there watching Scotland play Greece last night, but he's stuck there for now, I think, because he can't get back to Heathrow. Thomas, thanks for joining us. Bring us up to date. What have you been told? How are you being personally disrupted by this closure?
Good morning. Yes, well, we were due to be on a flight leaving Athens at 7:45 local time, 5:45 in the UK. We cleared security, we cleared passport control, and we're queuing for some breakfast when a staff member was going around shouting, anyone on a British Airways flight, come with us, it's being cancelled. We asked why. They said it was due to a fire. We started looking at our social media to see the video footage, and sure enough, the flight was cancelled up on the board. So we were huddled together, about 50 of us. There were a couple of other Tartan Army members there in kilts and a bit more bleary-eyed than myself. But we were huddled together, and then the sort of unusual route through the corridors of Athens airports. Although we had come to leave the airports, we were being taken back through as if we were entering. So we had to go back through passport control, get another stamp on the passport, and then back up to the main hall to try and get a ticket. And it's quite a scene that we witnessing. Plenty of people trying to get fresh tickets and back to Scotland. Obviously, people used it as Heathrow as a hub airport to get back up to Aberdeen, Heathrow, or Glasgow. So they're now unable to do so. We've heard some pretty wacky routes so far from some friends of ours. Some going via Dublin, some going via Rome, Milan, Istanbul, I've even heard as well. So yeah, it's inconvenient for sure, but it can't be helped at the minute. The Greek authorities here have been really helpful, very clear in their directions of what we've had to do. Unfortunately, we've been able to book on another flight that has come at a bit of an expense, around about €500. And even when we were sort of filling in our details, the chap next to us who joined the queue, even by the seconds that we were filling out our form, the price had gone up by a further €100. So flights and seats are in demand from Athens.
Indeed, and it underlines the importance of Heathrow as a hub airport, that the Tartan Army in Athens watching the Scottish team play are reliant on Heathrow to get home. Hopefully the mood is high, reasonably high among them. Who's looking after you there? What help are the local airline staff being to you? Who's the help coming from?
Yeah, it looks like there's ground staff. Don't know which company they're from. They obviously say they're from Athens Airport and Swissport, I believe, are the people back in the main departure hall. But they've been super helpful, to be honest. They were very clear. They said that our flight had been cancelled, follow us. We then sort of snaked through the corridors of Athens Airport to get back to passport control. We re-stamped our passport, put a little pen marker on it to say that we'd sort of literally just been stamped out of the country, and then we've got to be stamped back in. And then we got given vouchers straight away from the Swissport people. They said come back in an hour or so, or maybe go and try another airline. We did. We managed to get on a Sky Express flight to Gatwick, and the people who were incredibly helpful. And then again, back through security, back through passport control. But yeah, I think there's a few Tartan Army people were taking it on the chin and taking it in good humour. It is what it is, and at least we won yesterday. We could be a lot worse when we got beat.
Yeah, it'd be a very different picture if you hadn't. Thomas McIntosh in Athens Airport. Best of luck getting home. We hope it doesn't take too long. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's bring in our correspondent Charlotte Gallagher, who's at Heathrow Airport for us this morning, and describe for us what you're seeing there, because even though it's chaos, but I imagine it's also quite quiet with customers told don't come.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually quite eerie driving to Heathrow Airport this morning because it was so quiet, because even in the early hours there are still people arriving at Heathrow Airport to get their flights. And if you can see behind me, that's near Terminal 2, Terminal 3 of Heathrow Airport, and look at it, it's totally deserted. This should be full of cars, but I mean, there's a couple of police cars and that's it, and they're there to tell people you're not flying today. I mean, the roundabout that's a few minutes down the road here, there are people arriving, being turned away. There was a lot of angry horns being sounded in people's cars, but no one is going anywhere if they arrive at Heathrow Airport today, apart from back home. There are no flights departing from here at all. There are no flights landing here at all. Flights are either being diverted to other airports. Some people are lucky, they're going to Gatwick Airport, so at least they're still in the same sort of area as Heathrow, but others are being diverted to Paris. Some are going to Shannon in Ireland. They're not even in the same country, some people. So nothing is happening at Heathrow Airport today, apart from, of course, preparing for when the airport does reopen, which will hopefully happen at midnight tonight. But that's a hope at the moment. Heathrow Airport are working on their plans, and they say there will be significant disruption in the days ahead. But today, around 200,000 passengers are going to be affected. They're not going to be able to arrive, they're not going to be able to depart, and around 1,300 flights. And when it does reopen, of course, the aircraft are not going to be in the right place, the crews are not going to be in the right place, and there's going to be that massive influx of passengers. So it's going to be a tricky few days ahead for Heathrow Airport. And questions, of course, about how a fire at a substation could take out all their power supply. Why did the backup, the generators, not work? For it to take out an entire airport, Europe's busiest airport, is an incredible situation when you think about it. But a huge mess down here at Heathrow Airport. But yes, very eerie, very quiet. A lot of chaos, I imagine, going on inside the building as they work out what they're going to do in the next 24 hours. But there's no passengers going to be coming or going from Heathrow today.
And as you say, it's all because of a fire burning at an electricity substation in the area. I think a little bit earlier when we were speaking, Charlotte, you said you could smell the smoke in the air. What more can you tell us about the state of the fire, how quickly fire crews are managing to get it under control?
The last thing we heard from the fire service was that the fire wasn't completely out yet, and part of the fire in part of the substation was still ongoing, and that's obviously a huge task for the firefighters that have been working through the night from different areas of London they've drove in from to try and put this fire out. It's still ongoing at the moment. As you said, there is smoke still in the air, not as strong as it was when we first arrived here this morning. But of course, as well, there's people in the area that have no power. Around 16,000 properties have no power. 100 people had to be evacuated as well from their home in the middle of the night because they were so near the substation. And if people have seen that fire, they will know how severe and how big that fire was. And it was obviously not safe enough for people to stay in their homes. But yes, a really serious situation for the fire brigade and also for Heathrow Airport as they try and untangle this mess essentially and try and get their flights back up and running from midnight tonight.
Indeed, and probably worth stressing that many of the people who live in that area around Heathrow are also people who work at the airport, so they're facing a crisis on two fronts.
They will be, exactly. I mean, obviously some people will still be working at the airport today, but of course the shops, the cafes, they will be closed. The security as well, there's not people going to be going to and from the security as well today because there are simply no passengers either leaving or entering the airport. The doors are closed. So that's the advice really from Heathrow Airport today. Do not turn up at the airport because you will not be going anywhere. You'll not be departing anywhere, and people, if you're waiting for them to arrive at Heathrow Airport, they will not be coming here. They'll have either gone to a different airport or they will have not left the airport that they were coming from originally because their flight has been cancelled. So there's really no need to turn up here today. Some people haven't listened to that advice. There was a bit of a queue of traffic near here this morning, but they're all being turned back and going back where they came from.
Charlotte Gallagher at Heathrow Airport, thank you for that.